I had two beautiful boys, and I was praying this time for a beautiful baby girl. So when the 20-week scan came round, all I could think about is finding out what we were going to have. And I knew it was a checkup scan, but I'd already had two children, so it wasn't anything in my mind to worry about. We got to QA and went into the room when we were called, and the sonographer did her usual checks and then asked if we wanted to know what we were having, and we did, and she told us that we were having a girl. We were so excited over that, we didn't notice that she was actually looking more at her chest area. And she said, "Do you want to know in front of the boys, because they were with us, what's wrong?" And both me and Andy had to say yes. Could you just tell us briefly? And she said she's got fluid on her lungs. You're going to have to go and see a consultant. So we went back out into the waiting room, waited for what felt like forever, and the boys were collected. And we had to go and see a consultant who was not the most positive person, filled me with an awful lot of worry, actually, and spoke a lot of things over me that would just made me just worry about what was going to happen, because he said, yes, she's got fluid around her left lung. Her lung isn't developing properly. Worst case scenario, it will grow and push against her heart, and I'll miscarry. The best case scenario is that she could clear it herself, but I need extra scans and tests. He talked at one point needing to be referred to Southampton, and there was a lot of worry. So an appointment was booked with a specialist consultant, and I was sent home, and I had about a week and a half until this appointment, and in that time I had a lot of prayer. I had friends and family praying for me. I had children's church praying for me. I had a lot of words from people, from God. I had one saying he's got the whole world in his hands. People that felt that because I'm full of faith, that my girl would be feeding off of me as she is part of me, because she was inside me, and that I ought to be stubborn for her life, but overall trust God and just have peace. So we went to our second appointment with the specialist consultant, and his name was Mr. Jolly, and he was everything the other consultant wasn't. He was very positive, and he said, "Don't worry, we'll deal with it. That we can drain the fluid off, we can go through your stomach and put in a catheter and deal with it that way. It's easily dealt with." And that was good news. But at the same time, it wasn't the perfect baby. It wasn't what I felt God was promising me. So I had to wait another 4 weeks, roughly, for another checkup scan with Mr. Jolly. And when we turned up at this one, the sonographer was on her own in the room, and she said she'll start the scan and he'd come and join us. And as she was scanning, she said, "I don't understand what he's talking about. I can't see anything. We need to wait for him to arrive." So we sat there and waited, and the door opened, and Mr. Jolly was stood in the doorway looking straight at the screen, and he just said, "It's gone. Wow. There's nothing there." He checked himself and had another look, and he just said, "No, it's completely gone. Go home and grow a baby." My mum had a word from God from Psalm 144, and she'd read it as your daughters being like pillars to adorn a palace. But that morning, when we went for our scan, she read it again in the New King James Version, which actually says your daughters will be like pillars structured in palace style. My daughter had structural problems with her lungs, and she just felt that meant that everything would be okay, and she would be built as a palace is built, fit for a king. And she was.